All right, Jason here from septictank.co.uk. Welcome to another live broadcast. And in this broadcast, this video today, I'm going to be dealing with a very popular subject or topic. And we're going to be dealing with septic tank emptying. So why do you need to get your septic tank emptied? How often should you get your septic tank emptied? What does it cost to get your septic tank emptied? And how do you know when your septic tank is full or not? Well, I'm going to show you. All right, so you can see we've got a diagram here. So here we've got the septic tank, and here we've got the soakaway. All right, so first of all, okay, your house will be somewhere here, where my hand is, right? And so we've got a pipe that comes from your house. Now, from the pipe, all the wastewater will leave your property. So that blue there. So if I just put wastewater here, look, waste water. All right. So what do I mean by wastewater? Well, basically, that's all the water from your property. So that's your bath water, your bidet water, your shower water, your sink water, your toilet water, washing up water, dishwasher water, etc. Right? Now, all the water will leave your house, come down this pipe and make its way into the septic tank. And it'll fill up to the height of the outlet pipe. Okay, so now when I say water, although this looks blue, in reality it's probably a grey or dark colour, right? Now, in wastewater, you get quite a few bits and bobs, suspended solids. So if you imagine you've got like number ones, number twos going in there, you've got potato peelings, carrot peelings, condoms, sanitary towels, all this kind of stuff, right? And all this stuff, reason I'm telling you that is because all this stuff makes up suspended solids, and these suspended solids basically float around in the water. Now, you'll see where I'm going with this, because this is, we'll have to do why you'll need to get your septic tank emptied, okay? But anyway, you've got all these suspended solids floating around, right? And then in time they settle. Right, and they build up on the floor of your septic tank, like so. Okay? So when I say over time, over weeks, over months, over years, right? All right, so now the wastewater, all right, will reach the height of the outlet pipe. All right, and so from there, it will then make its way into the soakaway. Now, in this instance, I've just dug a pit because up until the 1960s, 1970s, most soakaways just comprised of a pit. And it was a pit full of gravel or shingle or builder's rubble, you know, bicycles and bricks and stuff like that. But the point is, the wastewater would leave the septic tank, go through the outlet pipe, and then it would fill up in the soakaway pit. And then from there, the water would naturally soak away into the surrounding soil or chalk, all right, or clay. You know, it does soak away in clay, believe it or not, just takes a little bit longer. So regardless of your ground conditions, the water will just soak away. All right, so that's basically how a septic tank and soak away work. So how do you know when you need to empty a septic tank, and why do you need to empty it? Well, when people take the lid off, they normally think, oh my gosh, it's full up with water, it needs emptying. But that is a misnomer. That is false reasoning, because septic tanks are all 3/4 full of water, because the outlet pipe is about 3/4 up the height or the length of the septic tank. So it's always 3/4 full of liquid. And you never need your septic tank emptying because of the liquid, because look, the liquid goes from here, relative displacement comes, it overflows and it spills into the soakaway. So the water, the soakaway, is meant to help the water soak away. So you never need to get your 99% of the time, you never need to empty your septic tank because of the water in there, all right? It's because of these solids. Now, over the course of a year, all these particles that have been flushed down the loo and emptied down the sink that go into your septic tank, as I said, build up on the bottom. Now, this comprises of fat, grease, and sludge. Now, generally speaking, over the course of a year, right, this fat, grease, and the sludge will get higher and higher. And so the only way to determine if your septic tank needs emptying is to put like a dipstick in there, right? So take the lid off, get a stick or a pole, something like that, push it down. Now you're not looking for the watermark, you're looking for a sludge mark. Now typically after a year in a normal household from say 1 to 6 bedrooms, a sludge mark will be that far off the bottom. Okay, and so every 6 or 12 months, you need the septic tank man to come in and suck the sludge away. Now, of course, he's going to suck the water away as well, but you're only doing it for the sludge. So why is that important? Well, because the longer that you leave the desludging intervals, the more the sludge builds up, the more the suspended solids build up. And what happens is the fat and the grease and the sludge, right, then break away from the tank and make their way into the soakaway. So the soakaway also starts to get affected by the fat, the grease and the sludge and the suspended solids that are coming from the buildup in the septic tank. And then over time they fur up inside the tank, they line the sides, they fur up, and so the water can't soak away effectively anymore. So that's primarily why you need to get your septic tank emptied. So once, as I said, once or twice a year, you get the septic tank emptying man in. Now, here's a word of warning. Not all, but some septic tank emptying firms don't like sucking the sludge out of a septic tank. And so I'm telling you this because this will really save you money, and it's a trick that many septic tank emptying firms do. I'm not saying all of them, there's some good, credible, honest firms out there, but I'll explain why septic tank emptying men and lorries and wagons and companies don't like sucking sludge out of a tank. Now, if you get your septic tank emptying man round, typically it'll cost you, where we live, it costs about £200 a time to suck out 2,000 gallons, right? Now, in most septic tanks where there isn't a build-up of sludge, they'll just put the pipe in. The pipe will go down from here, right, and go down, and it will just suck all the water out. However, when they put their pipes down deep enough so they hit the bottom, sucking sludge out is not an easy thing to do because it's a fat, grease and a sludge. And so, whereas if they were just sucking your water, the wastewater out of a septic tank, take about 20 minutes to do, right? If they're sucking the sludge out from your septic tank, it can take 2 to 3 hours to do with the same amount of volume because it's like treacle. And they've got to get the jetter in there, and they've got to stir it, and they've got to suck it, and they've got to rev the tanker more. So most septic tank emptying firms will only put their pipe to here. And it's like, oh, great, leaving the fat and the grease and the sludge in your tank. So when your tanker man comes, make sure, boom, that pipe, that sucker pipe goes straight down to the bottom. All right, now, because you imagine, right, a firm, an emptying firm can come in, charge you 200 quid, and, they can make 200 quid in 20 minutes. Whereas, what firm really wants to come and charge you 200 quid and spend 4 hours on your property emptying your tank and only getting the same amount of money? So that's why most septic tank emptying firms don't like sucking fat, grease and sludge out. Now, if you haven't had your septic tank emptied, now it's not too bad if you're getting them in to do it every 3 months, right? Because the build-up of sludge is minimum, right? But if you haven't had your tank emptied for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, that's where they just don't want to come and empty your tank anymore. So there you go. That's just a word of warning, a tip from me. And so, okay, so once you've got your septic tank emptied, there's also another little service, I forgot for a moment, another service they'll offer you, and that is to get your septic tank jetted. Now, if you don't know it, jetting is it's like a long pipe, and a jetter looks something like this, and jetting is firing high-powered water from a hose, just like they do on the jet washers, into your septic tank here. Now, this jetting will clean all the debris from the side of your tank. It'll stir up all that fat and the grease and the sludge from the bottom, and then they can suck it out. But just another word of warning, don't get your soakaway jetted. Don't do it. Why? Because you imagine, right? they're firing high-powered water, high-pressured water, right, into your soakaway. It just sends all that fat and the grease and the sludge down into your soakaway, and it compresses it, making it even harder, you know, to get out. And it also blocks up all the pores and the arteries of your soakaway, causing soakaway problems. So if you're getting your septic tank jetted, not only is it costing you, what, an extra 150 quid or more on top of your emptying, it's also damaging your soakaway. So don't do it. That's just another tip. That's a free tip, right? Now, probably septic tank emptying firms won't like me saying that, but it's fine for cleaning out your septic tank. I'm not saying don't do that, but don't get them to jet the pipes going to your soakaway. And that's it. So, now, what was the other thing? Oh yeah, people asking me how often do they need to get their septic tanks emptied? Well, all you need to do it at least 1 to 3 times a year. Okay? So it's as simple as that. I mean, where is ball rubber there? But I'm going to show you, right? Now, you can do that. You can spend 200 quid a time to get your septic tank emptied, or you could do what I'm about to show you. Now, what I'm about to show you will save you hundreds and hundreds of pounds. It'll prevent you ever getting or developing any septic tank and soakaway problems, and it will save you hundreds of pounds from having to get your tank emptied all the time. Have a look at this, right? Now, you can get something called soakaway worms. Now, I used to live in a place called Shropshire, right? And where we used to live, my dad's septic tank and all the neighbours used to have loads and loads of worms in the septic tank. It was like something from a nightmare. It was like something out of a flipping nightmare film, it was. But anyway, look, if I just put a worm there, big smiley face. The worms weren't that big, but it's just for illustrative purposes. But anyway, they had worms in everyone's septic tank. And I never thought much of it apart from, you know, having nightmares about it. But a few years ago, my dad reminded me of the fact that everyone had worms in their septic tanks. And he said, do you remember, Jason, that none of the septic tanks where worms naturally occurred in ever developed any problems? And I thought, yeah, that's a very interesting point. So I did a lot of research and I found out there's about 150 species of worms in this country. And I found out what these species of worms were. And we started breeding them. And I started giving them to people with soakaway problems, right? And they'd tip a bucket of worms into their septic tank. And the worms, right? I'm not kidding you. The worms would go in. They'd fall to the bottom here of the fat and the grease and the sludge. And they'd eat it all. They'd eat all the fat and the grease and the sludge. And people who had blocked soakaways, where these worms would go up the side of the wall, they'd crawl into their soakaway, they used to unblock and clear the soakaways, right? Completely unblocking it, right? And so then the worms would live in the soakaway, but people would email me and ring me and stuff like that saying, Jason, you know, you've saved us 3, 4, 5,000 quid from having to have our soakaway replaced. So I thought, flaming hell, these worms really do work. So then I started giving them to people to see if they'd keep their septic tank clean, so they didn't have to get it desludged and emptied all the time. And true enough, they'd put their worms in, they'd get their tank emptied, they'd then put the worms in, and the worms would literally drop to the bottom of the tank. And they'd go and test it every 6 months, every 12 months, every 18 months, and there'd be no fat, grease, and the sludge in there. So if you want to save hundreds of pounds and not get your septic tank emptied or develop, you know, septic tank problems, consider getting a bucket of soakaway worms. Now, there's lots of different wormeries on the internet, on eBay and stuff like that, that claim to sell worms that work in septic tanks, but they don't. They use common old garden worms. Normal garden worms will not eat the fat and the grease and the sludge in your soakaway or your septic tank. These are a special type of worm. They're called a sewage worm, and they specially exist in nature to eat fat, grease, and sludge. But anyway, so that's another free tip for you. Every little helps, as the saying goes. So look, I hope that's helped you regarding septic tank emptying today, right? If you want more free advice and information and free help, then all you need to do is go to septictank.co.uk. That's my main website. I've also on YouTube Live, on Facebook. The point is, I've also got it's called Septic Tank TV. Again, all this stuff's free. I don't want a penny. There's no catch, there's no con. I've just done hundreds of free videos to help people save money and fix septic tank problems. So if you want to see more of me, you want to get more free advice, just go to septictank.co.uk, or just go onto Google and type in Septic Tank TV. But listen, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this live broadcast today. You take care, and I'll speak to you soon.